Good morning everybody and welcome to the first assembly of the Virtual Careers Week. Now, careers is a vital part of your education and it will help you prepare for the future and whatever you decide to do after school, whether this is college, sixth form, employment, apprenticeships or then going on to university to pursue a further career. Now, it is important that we look at what skills we've got and what skills we need to develop, as well as understanding the opportunities that are available to us and the support that is available to us before we leave school. And it's also about raising your aspirations and motivating yourself to have a goal for your own career pathways. To help you with this, all of your lessons this week have been based around career-related learning. This assembly is to help you further that information and to just give you an idea of how career pathways are always changing and there are always opportunities out there for everybody. And some people don't even stick to the same job, even if it's not the one that they decided to do when they were in school. But that is absolutely fine. That is why it is a career journey, because journeys change all the time. So we have members of staff from our school who are going to tell you about their career and what they've done before they became a teacher and how they became a teacher or before they had their roles within the educational setting. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that it helps to raise your aspirations. Have a good week guys and stay safe.
Hi. My career story might be a little bit boring because I always wanted to teach. Right from when I was really little, I used to line my dolls and teddies up in my bedroom and get my chalkboard and easel out and teach them my storybooks. I put all levels, reading levels in the front of them. So I always wanted to teach. I don't know if I was very good at it. My dolls and teddies didn't make much progress. Throughout, at the end of my GCSEs and throughout my A-levels and my degree, I did lots of different part-time work. That was all really useful as well. And it persuaded me really of the jobs I didn't want to do. I first of all tried waitressing. I wasn't very good at that. I am a bit clumsy. And although I was really polite to people, I did get lots of tips, but I think that because they felt sorry for me, I used to tip a lot of coffee over me all the time. I was going home with cuts and scalds. But I spent a few years then doing my degree working in health foods. And I did love that. So when I worked in health foods, I picked up a lot of skills. I even picked up some qualifications. I had NVQ level 3s in car maintenance and in retail and in merchandising. So all that was really useful. It taught me a lot. My degree was in history. I then did a PGCE in secondary history as well. But I've also taught RS all the time I've been teaching. And also I taught French when I first started as well. I think the best piece of advice I was ever given, careers advice I was given, was don't do a job where you were going to be bored. Don't do a job where you're going to be looking at the clock and counting down the hours to when you finish every day. And teaching, you certainly don't clock watch. It's never, ever boring.
Morning everyone, this is Oliver here. Just a quick recap of sort of my journey on my career path. So GCSEs, I did English language, English literature, maths. Numeracy wasn't an option then, and double award science. And I also did Welsh, French, geography and PE. I then went to Neath Port Talbot College. We didn't have sixth forms, we still don't have sixth forms in Neath Port Talbot. And at A-level, I did French, sociology, geography and PE, and then went to do sports science in Swansea University. 100% the best time of my life in university in Swansea. And then went on to do my postgraduate in secondary education in PE in UWIC in Cardiff, and then started my teaching career in Ely in Cardiff, moving to Treorchy, and then where we are now in Pontypridd. Loved my education journey actually. Really wasn't any negatives to it. And then as for part-time jobs and things like that, I I've done loads actually. Teaching swimming was my main one. I've done that all the way from when I was 16 up until I had my full-time job in Treorchy. But then on top of that, I've done call centre work, selling windows. I wasn't very successful at that. Worked in a gym on reception, enjoyed that bit. I worked as a waitress, but only did one evening. That wasn't for me. And then I've also done some tutoring on the side. So yeah, that's my journey. Hope that's of any help to anyone. Bye.
Good morning everyone, Mr. Ali here, hope everyone's safe and well. So, how did a boy from Southeast England end up working in a school in the South Wales Valleys? So I did A-levels in German, politics and sociology, can still speak a bit of German. Here we go. Diese Aussparung ist verrückt. That means this lockdown is crazy. So you remember that. So from there I applied to go to university in Cardiff, which is how I ended up in Wales. So I studied journalism and media at Cardiff University. So I did a degree, it was 3 years, best 3 years of my life. Worked hard, played hard. It was good though, and at the end of it I did think maybe I want to go into journalism. But sadly, you know, it wasn't to be. Applied for a few jobs, didn't really get anywhere. So my career took a bit of a turning point. I took a sort of year out, stayed in Cardiff, actually worked in the Cardiff City shop for a bit of extra money, believe it or not. And then decided to do a postgraduate teaching course again at Cardiff University. Did some work experience on my teaching practice at a college in Ystrad. And then obviously once I'd qualified, was looking for jobs, and it took me a fair amount of time to actually get a job. In the meantime, I worked in a care home for a while. I actually worked in a surfboard shop, believe it or not. Did a few bits and bobs here and there just to make some money. And then finally got a job at Basleg School in Newport, working in their sort of learning support provision, running that, you know, working with vulnerable pupils and things like that. And then in 2015, eventually got my job at Ponty High. Now, that's a very short kind of snippet of things. There were a lot of disappointments along the way, a lot of interviews and jobs that I went for that I didn't get. And obviously going forward, you know, I don't know where the future's going to take me, but you know, I'm here now and happy in my job, and you know, it's a mad journey really. And what I would advise you is that, you know, you may have a career path in mind, you may not, but just be aware that things don't always go to plan, but that's fine, okay? There's so many opportunities out there. Just, you know, keep going, keep trying, and never give up on your dreams, okay? So that's my story, and yeah, I hope everyone's safe and well, and take care, and see you soon. Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my career. Now, I always wanted to be a teacher from when I was probably about 7 or 8. I used to actually sit in my bedroom and teach my teddies and write on my mirror with my felt pen, which my mother used to go mad about, because then she'd have to clean it. But yeah, I've always wanted to be a teacher. So when I was 14, I started volunteering at my local community centre in children's play schemes for school holidays and after school clubs. That helped me put a lot of experience on my CV, which helped me then to build my confidence and get my first part-time job, and it also helped me to apply to university. So in addition to this volunteering, I stayed on at sixth form in my school and completed my A-levels. I then went on to university to study a BSc in Geography in Swansea, and I then done a PGCE in Swansea as well for teaching secondary school geography. I was actually on the same course as Miss Pritchard, where we became friends. And then I got my first job at Pontypridd High School. But whilst I was in university and in sixth form, I had a part-time job in Marks and Spencer's. First of all, I worked in the food court, and then I worked in the cafe, and I was then trained as a barista. All of these skills helped me to apply for my university, even though it had nothing to do with teaching. As well as working part-time in Marks and Spencer's whilst training to be a teacher, I also set up my own face painting and balloon modelling business for children's parties. This helped me to gain a lot of confidence, independence, and get loads of skills with working with children of different ages, different abilities and different backgrounds, which again I could also put on my UCAS application form for university. It is also something that I spoke about in my interview for Pontypridd High School. And all of these things add up to help you get the experiences you need and prepare you for the world of work, whatever your job. So it's important that you think about what you do even before you start your career. Since working at Pontypridd High School, my job has changed quite a bit. I started off working with particular classes and teaching them all of these subjects, a little bit like primary school. I even taught a little bit of PE. I taught a few subjects, but now I am actually teaching humanities and I am in charge of Discover More and careers. So as you can see, even when you are in your dream job, your career will keep on evolving. You will keep on getting opportunities and you will keep on growing personally and professionally. I absolutely love my job. Even working from home, I'm enjoying making these videos for you. So I hope you've enjoyed these videos, guys, and good luck for your future.
Hello there, Mr. Smith here. Miss Griffiths has asked me, or maybe bullied me, into telling you about my career path and how I got here as a teacher. Now, I never really intended on being a teacher when I was a teenager. I didn't really have a clue about what I wanted to do, but I liked science. I enjoyed science and technology and maths and those sort of subjects. So that's really where I decided to take my career, really. So that started off with choosing A levels, and I studied physics and double maths. Those days you could take 2 A levels in maths. So that was where I studied. I studied that in Aberystwyth, where I grew up. So after getting my A levels, I went to university. I studied engineering. I did electrical engineering. I chose that because at the time it seemed like a really sort of fascinating subject. I was very much into looking into things and seeing how they worked. So that sort of engineering seemed a pretty logical path to take. After finishing my degree, I wanted to study more. I didn't think I was really ready for to get a job or anything like that. So I did an MSc in Cardiff. And this was in electrical and electromagnetic engineering. Sounds very, very technical, and it was. It was a very small course. There were only about 9 of us students on that. But it's something I was really into, really enjoyed doing as well. Now after that, I looked into doing a PhD to do a research 3-year research program to get a doctorate as well. And I went to Bath University and did 3 days. I lasted 3 days there. At that point, I decided, I'd really realised that really wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I stopped that and I came back to Cardiff. Now this taught me a really important lesson about choosing a career and choosing a career path, is that it's all right to change. You know, if you find something isn't working, isn't going the right way, it's all right to change. There's no problem at all there. Just look at, see what your qualifications, what your skills are, and pursue that in a different way. And I did that by getting a job in Techniquest in Cardiff Bay. It wasn't the Techniquest as we all love and know it now. It was the old Techniquest, which was an old tin shed. I got a job as a presenter, wearing green t-shirts, just showing people the exhibition things there. And also I started doing science presentations to the school groups and to general public, and that's really what got me into teaching. After about a year of that, I got another job in Techniquest where I was the science theatre manager. So I was in charge of coordinating the schools' presentations, planetarium presentations, and also coming out to schools to do presentations within the schools with the inflatable planetarium and with science shows as well. Now this was something I really, really enjoyed. I enjoyed the contact with the school groups, with the general public, and just telling them all about the science and how amazing and how interesting it is. And so that is really what got me into teaching. Now, I could have stayed at Techniquest, but one thing that moved me on, and moves a lot of people on in their career, is money. It didn't pay very well. It was interesting, it was exciting, and it was good fun, but it didn't really pay a lot of money. So I looked into and applied for to train as a teacher, and that's what I did. Now, I've been a teacher for well over 20 years now, and I've taught in all sorts of schools. I've actually taught in primary schools as well as secondary schools as well. I've been in charge of IT in the schools, science and design and technology, so I can see that's where my skills lie. So that really sort of brings me up to date. I've only had 1 year at Ponty High, very much enjoyed teaching and enjoyed the science teaching there as well. So, but in all of my career, I've learned a couple of lessons. First one is choose a career that you're interested in. Do something you absolutely love or really, really interests you. There's no point pursuing a career path over something that you just find totally boring, otherwise you're just going to be bored. The other thing is, if you want to change your career, do it. Look and see how you can change it, how you can get the qualifications, how you can actually make that step and make the change. You can be brave and do that. It's well worth it. If you feel that something is right for you, make the change. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Hope to see you soon.
Good morning. Today I've come to talk to you about how I became a science teacher. So when I was in school, science was always my favourite subject, and since we had to do this for GCSE, I decided when I was choosing my GCSE options just to choose subjects that I enjoyed. So I did history, ICT, art and music. There was no Welsh back then. And I carried on the sciences at A levels. I did biology and chemistry, and I also did maths, and I carried on with the music as well because it was a subject that I enjoyed. During the summer between A levels and going to university, I worked in a hotel, so this included doing bar work, restaurant work and changing beds, and this was to earn money to go to university. I then went to Cardiff University and I studied a degree in genetics because this was my favourite part of the biology A level, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with science yet, but I knew that I just wanted to do a science degree because I enjoyed it. In my last year of the 3-year degree at Cardiff, I decided then that I wanted to be a teacher, so I applied to do teaching PGC at Swansea University. I then worked in a school in Barry, in an all-girls school, and then the opportunity arose for me to come to Pontypridd High School to train to be the head of science, and here I am now.
Hi all, I've come on today to talk to you about my career path that has led me to become a PE teacher. I have always loved sport from an early age, and when I went to secondary school, this love grew. Therefore, when it came to me choosing my GCSEs, I definitely chose to do GCSE PE. I loved the GCSE course, and when it came to the end of year 11 and I had decided that staying in sixth form was the best thing for me, I decided I was going to study A-level PE. As my love and passion for sport grew, at the end of my A-levels, I went on to study sport and physical education in Cardiff Met. Cardiff Met provided me with a number of different opportunities, not only to develop my sport, but it also showed me a number of different avenues I could go down within sport. Quite early on in my degree, I quickly realised that my dream job was to be a PE teacher. Therefore, when I graduated, I went straight on to study my PGC in physical education. As well as this, while I was doing my degree and PGC, I always worked to gain experience. I worked as a lifeguard as well as volunteering in community projects.
I know that many of you will be unsure of what you want to do when you leave school. I was in a similar position, but I followed my passion, my interest, which was geography and the environment. So after achieving my GCSEs, I decided to pursue geography, art and ICT. After achieving these A-levels, I then decided to take geography further at the University of South Wales, where I studied a Bachelor of Science in Physical Geography and thoroughly enjoyed this 3-year course. During the course, it took me to Honduras, we went to Portugal, Mallorca, as well as lots of locations around the UK as well. At the end of the course, I successfully achieved the degree, and I continued on to do a Master of Science in Environmental Conservation Management, again in the University of South Wales, and this was for 1 year, and this course took us to Indonesia, where we stayed in the rainforest and learned all about the environment in other places, tropical environments. After achieving my Masters, during university, I was working in Pizza Hut as well as a manager. This taught me many skills about how to manage teams of people. And I also did some voluntary work at an environmental education site with young children. And this is where I started to think about maybe going into a career in teaching. Some of my other interests though were I fancied being a weather presenter or working for the Environment Agency. But I applied for a teaching course, a PGCE in Aberystwyth University, which was 1 year. So I undertook this course, and following that course then I successfully got the job at Coedlam Comprehensive School, which is now obviously Pontypridd High School, and that is my career journey path.
Hello everybody, I thought I'd take a little bit of time today to tell you a bit about my own career path. I grew up in Bridgend, not far from Pontypridd really, and I went to a school called Bryn Teg, where I did my O-levels and my A-levels. O-levels were what we did before they changed the name to GCSEs. And when I was at school, I suppose it's quite clear that the subjects which I really enjoyed were things like geography and geology. And I have no doubt looking back that's because the teacher, Mr. Pothcary, was a great teacher, and I really enjoyed the lessons. I suppose I worked hard and I always did pretty well at those subjects. And when I was choosing my subjects for year 10 and year 11, I easily chose those subjects first, and similarly when I did my A-levels I chose those subjects as well. And I think looking back, that would be my advice to anyone who's undecided on what to do. Just go with the subjects that you're interested in, go with the subjects that you enjoy, and it's most likely that you're going to work well in those. And one way or another, things will start to change and emerge as life goes on, and you'll start trimming down the subjects into areas which you're much more comfortable with and which you want to pursue further. So when I finished school, I knew I wanted to go off to university, and I was fortunate to go to Aberystwyth, and I did geography and geology there as well. And very soon I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, and so I applied for the teacher training course, and I did that as well after my degree. So then I had the qualification to go off and teach, but before that I did loads of different jobs as well. When I was in school I remember doing lots of different paper rounds. I was a groundsman, assistant groundsman, cutting grass on a golf course for a few holidays. Also helped out in gardening, in people's gardens, doing things like that. Had an interesting job at one point cleaning Toys R Us stores as well, not just in Wales, but we used to go into different stores in England as well and do these cleans there. That was interesting. And eventually then obviously went off and got into teaching, and my first job actually was back in my old school in Bryn Teg in Bridgend, which was a good experience. And from there I've worked in 3 or 4 different schools now. I ended up actually being in Cardinal Newman School as a geography teacher, and then eventually became the deputy head there. And from there I then got the headship at what was then Coedlam School, and then we changed the name to Pontypridd High School. Never really started out wanting to be a head teacher, but what I always did want to do is be as good as I could be. And that sort of takes you into different jobs and into different roles, and I'm very glad that I've been the head teacher at Pontypridd High. I've really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed working with all the different colleagues over the last 12 or so years that I've been the head. And on that, I think that's what I would say is my advice to you as you look at your own career ahead. Is it's all about really trying to be the best that you can. It isn't really always being about the best. Nothing's ever perfect, but you can always try to show the right attitude, be positive, and be the best that you can be. And that is often what takes you into different types of roles and makes you successful at them. So show the right attitude, follow the things you're interested in, follow the things you enjoy, and I'm sure you'll make a great success of your own lives, and the career ahead will be a very successful one for you as well. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. As it's Careers Week, I thought I'd give you a bit of an insight into my career so far. Just a quick overview of what I did since leaving school. I decided to stay on in sixth form and do A-levels, and I decided to study geography, history and Spanish as they were my favourite subjects throughout GCSE. I worked hard and managed to get fairly good grades at A-level, which led me to apply to university. I applied over the border in England, and I applied for a joint honours degree in geography and history. Throughout university, alongside studying, I had some part-time jobs in Marks and Spencer's, in Cardiff City Football Club when I would come home for summer, and in Pizza Hut. And those jobs were really beneficial in gaining some skills like leadership, teamwork, organisation, having to get up and be somewhere at a certain time, and really sort of helped me develop my communication as well. So after university, I worked hard at uni and managed to get a first class honours degree. And after university, I did a bit of travelling. I worked and travelled to as many places as I could really in different sort of ways. I volunteered in America. I lived in New York City for a bit. I went to Morocco and lived with a Bedouin tribe for a month. I went to Spain to develop my Spanish and worked there. And really my passion was geography and travelling, so I decided to pursue that, and I went to Swansea University to do my PGCE. In between this, I was sort of deciding whether I wanted to be a primary school teacher or a secondary school teacher, but my passion was really in geography, and I wanted to be able to sort of have a specialism in that and be able to talk about that daily in lessons. So I went to study the PGCE, teacher training. I did my placements in Bryn Celynnog and Bryn Teg and Bridgend, and then I applied after my PGCE to Ponty High, and I managed and was really fortunate and lucky enough to get the job, and I've been there ever since. I'm in my 6th year at Ponty High now, and I'm really enjoying obviously my career. It's very rewarding, and I think that's the main thing when you're looking at careers, is just you being happy and being able to have something that you enjoy doing and getting up for every day. So good luck. Make sure you start thinking about some careers, because I was probably in year 10 when I started thinking I do need to get a job after school, and I didn't really know where to start. But think about things you enjoy, things you're interested in, and try and link it to that really. See you soon.
Hi everyone, I always knew I wanted to be a PE teacher, so it was always about just choosing that right career path. When I was in year 9, I chose to study GCSE PE as one of my option subjects, and this led to me studying BTEC Sport at A-level. I was then able to attend the University of South Wales, where I completed my sports studies degree, and then following this I went to Cardiff Metropolitan University to complete my PGCE, which is my teacher training, and this allowed me to work in numerous schools, and now I'm here in Ponty High.
Hi guys, I'm here today to talk to you about my career path and the options I chose in order to get to where I am today. I studied my GCSEs, and the subjects that I took were Science Double Award, English, Maths, Geography, Welsh, Home Economics and ICT and Business Studies. I passed all my GCSEs and then had the option to choose my A-levels, and I chose to take chemistry, physics and biology because at the time I was extremely interested and excited by science and wanted to pursue some sort of career in the sciences. I sat my A-levels and passed them, and during that time I applied to go and do a BSc Honours course in biomedical science in Cardiff University. I studied there for 3 years. I had the opportunity to take a year out, but I didn't take that year out. I did the full 3-year course, and then I chose to apply to do a PGCE Science with Biology in Swansea University, which was another year on top. When I originally applied to do the biomedical science degree in Cardiff, my intention was to work as a medical scientific officer in the hospitals, doing all the medical tests, I also thought a little bit about doing pharmacy, and there was a route to take pharmacy after you'd sat your degree. It was another 3 years on top. But when I got to the end of my degree, I decided that teaching was something that I was really interested in. And so I applied for my teacher training course and did that. And then I applied for my job at the then Coedalan Comprehensive School. And I've been there ever since. What I've discovered as I was going through all of these different courses and degrees and in university is that there are lots of different routes that you can take when you're actually in university. So no door is closed to you. When you are applying for different courses, you can transfer on to other courses, you can change your mind, you can get career advice while you're learning. So there's lots and lots of opportunities out there for everybody. And definitely work hard in school, because that gives you your foundation to move on to anything else that you'd like to do. Stay safe, guys. Bye.
And well, managing to do some work where you can. Being asked to talk about careers, and I think it's a really interesting topic to talk about, especially for you guys in year 10. You're going to be going off on apprenticeships, going to college, university, and it's all going to happen quite quickly, but it's really good that you've got all the support around you to make the decisions that that you need to make. I first started off in Pontypridd High School. I did my GCSEs and my A-levels, and then I went to university, studied sport, and then I did a Masters in Sports, and then I did my PGCE. But during that time as well, I also did a stonemasonry qualification. So I was working, building stone walls, also labouring for bits and pieces, doing out my own house. So I learned a lot from doing my own house as well. So that's how I got into construction. But I also worked as a sports development officer, organising and developing clubs for children with special needs. I'm also, and still am now, work in exercise referral, so I do exercise classes for children with special needs and also teach them to swim. And to get that qualification, I had to do my gym instructor's qualification. I had to do instructing exercise to children qualification and GP exercise referral qualification. So there are lots of careers out there. I didn't realise that I'd be sort of going down a couple of paths, really: construction, exercise. So there are so many different careers out there. And to get into teaching, I had to get 2 Bs, English and Maths, GCSE. So initially I didn't get them when I was in school, and I had to go back to do them again in university in order to get onto the PGCE. So I had to work a little bit harder.
Hi all, just wanted to say how I got to where I am as a PE teacher now at Pontypridd High School. In school in Swansea I went to, I just loved doing sport, so I did GCSE PE. I followed that to A-level PE then at college. Alongside that I did business studies and biology. Then I took a year out and did a lot of swimming. I concentrated on my swimming. Was fortunate to travel around the world, going to places like Canada and Australia to compete, as well as Hong Kong as well. Following that, I went on to Cardiff Met to do an undergrad sport and PE course. 3 years, had a great time, made some of my best friends there, and throughout there I did lots of sport, and we did lots of different things with regards to anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, coaching, and that then I decided, well, I really enjoyed doing a lot of the teaching side, so then I went from there to do a PGC at Cardiff Met, and then obviously got my job as a PE teacher. Some of the boys I was in university with, they went on, one's out in China doing strength and conditioning for a volleyball team. Another one is in London, running cycling events. Both my brothers, they followed sport as well because they really enjoyed it. One now is air sea rescue out in Australia, so he gets rinsed down out of helicopters, and the other is a greenskeeper on a golf course, again out in Australia. Both of them have moved out there, so lots of opportunities, lots of different places you can go. One tip I would give is just do something and follow something that you enjoy doing.
Shwmae bawb. My career path started an awful long time ago when I did my A-levels in Tonpandy Comprehensive School. I chose Welsh, English and History because they were the three subjects I enjoyed the most and I was best at. I followed that by a stint in Aberystwyth University studying Welsh and Welsh History, and then decided to go into teaching. It was against the advice of my careers advisor, who thought that I should go into the media, being able to speak Welsh, as there were lots of jobs available in that field at the time. I've enjoyed every minute of my teaching career, and I'm certainly glad that I decided to do what I wanted and not follow the advice of someone else. However, a degree in Welsh doesn't just mean that you've got to teach Welsh. There are so many openings, especially if you want to live in your local community for your adult lives. Think about it. You live so close to Cardiff, and an awful lot of employers there would like to see some ability to speak Welsh on your CV. Diolch.
Hi everyone, Mr. Eldridge here, ICT. I wanted to talk to you about my career so far. Studied GCSEs at a Welsh school, Cwmrymni, and then moved to Cardiff High for my A-levels. My GCSEs and A-levels don't relate to my career path, and I would advise that they don't have to, and the choices that you make now will change over time. After my A-level I went to university and studied Computing Geospatial Information Systems, or Computing GIS. This was a career path that I wanted to choose, sort of looking at computer mapping, which I really enjoy, and studied that at Glamorgan University, or now University of South Wales. During the summers of my degree I went to America and did a lot of football coaching, and ended up doing 5 summers of football coaching children from the age of 3 all the way to 18, and this was highly rewarding, and throughout those summers the experiences I gained was incredible, staying with families and flying aeroplanes, wakeboarding, water skiing, you name it, did it. It's incredible, and I would recommend that so much if any of you do have the opportunity to travel around the world. I've circumnavigated the world twice and seen many countries and cities, and even the wilderness of many countries, and definitely an opportunity not to be missed. After my degree I ended up going and working for a couple of firms related to GIS, and ended up there in a year and a half at Caerphilly Council as a GIS technician. This is when I started to realise that I didn't want to be sat in front of a computer for the rest of my life, and decided then to sort of combine the experiences that I had with the pupil or the children out in America with my career, and follow the footsteps of my parents and to become a teacher. And a teaching profession or career is highly rewarding. It's incredible to sort of recognise that you've had an impact on so many pupils throughout their lives, and it's an incredible career choice. My sort of advice really for everybody would be that whatever you're studying at GCSE or A-level currently, they don't need to apply for your future career. As long as you work hard, gain those qualifications, which will allow you to progress then through the qualification sort of track, and to sort of accomplish sort of the opportunities that you want to sort of then pursue later on in life. I would say that the career opportunities that you want to choose now, we've got a little one showing me little wood lice at the moment. So yeah, teaching is tough with a young family, but as I said, highly rewarding. But yeah, going back to the sort of the choices that you've made at the moment with GCSE or A-level, they don't need to apply for a future career because you don't know what many of those career paths. Yeah, you show me woodlice. Yeah, woodlice. Mocha coed. They don't need to apply because many of the careers that will exist in the future when you grow up don't exist currently. So I would say the one thing that you should take from my little video is work hard, play hard, and yeah, good luck with everybody to everybody in your career paths of your choice.
Hi everyone. So when I was your age, my favourite subject was PE, and so I knew from a very young age that I wanted a career that was sports based. So I studied PE at GCSE. I loved it so much, I studied it at A-level, and when I was in year 13, I knew that I wanted to do PE and study it at university. And so I moved 110 miles to Cardiff and studied a course called Sport and PE at Cardiff Metropolitan University. At this point, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but having sport as a subject every day was like a dream come true. I played netball, and I did a subject called Sport Analysis, which was my favourite at the time. It's to do with looking at stats within a netball game, which obviously was my sport. And I was fortunate enough to do this for England netball. So we were looking at the success rate of the shooting, the success rate of the centre passes. And at that time, I thought that's the kind of career path that I wanted to go down. I later studied a topic called pedagogy, which then looked at teaching styles and education. And that's where I decided to do a PGCE. So all in all, I had to study for 4 years at Cardiff. And after doing my PGCE, it meant that I was a qualified teacher. And I was then able to get a job back in my old school. And at that point, I ended up teaching my younger sister, who was still in school at the time. I taught there for 4 years, and then I thought I wanted to develop my career a bit further and ended up getting a job at Ponty High.